I will be reporting for today about the economic development of industrialized states. What is an economic development? It is the creation of wealth from which community benefits are created. It is more than jobs program. It is an investment in growing your economy and enhancing the prosperity and quality of life for all the residents. Economic development is also a concerted effort on the part of the responsible governing body in a city or country to influence the direction of the private sector investment towards opportunities that can lead to sustained economic growth, can provide sufficient income for the local labor force, profitable business opportunity for employer, and tax revenues for maintaining an infrastructure to support this continued growth. The other hand, the industrialized states is a country whose level of economic development ranks it somewhere between a developing and highly developed classifications. These countries have moved away from the agriculture based economy and into a more industrialized and urban economy, which is good in helping economic growth for their country. Let's tackle of how to measure whether your country is an industrialized or not an industrialized state. In measuring if a certain country is industrialized or developing and highly developed is by the GDP or the gross domestic product. GDP is much more relevant static for better illustrating how a hypothetical average citizen might experience a nation economic output. GDP per capita is a tally of all goods and services produced in country in one year as a useful metric for distinguishing developed countries from developing ones. GDP is calculated by dividing a country's gross domestic product by its total population. For example, the population of China is approximately 285 times larger than the population of Ireland. Yet the typical Irish person has 78,779 is nearly 8 times richer than their Chinese counterparts, which is 10,216.60. Despite the fact that their country is so much smaller, the country with a higher GDP per capita are often those with an unusual concentration of wealth. Let's tackle one of the industrialized country, which is the Australia. Australia GDP in 2019 is 1,396.57 billion. Their population in 2019 is 25.36 billion, and their gross domestic product per capita for 2019 also is 55,057.2. Australia is one of the developed and industrialized states with higher economic development. The land down under a widespread industrialization and provides quality healthcare for the majority of the citizens. Australians also enjoy a higher quality of life than some other countries. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, citizens are average rated their contentment with a life as 7.3 out of 10, which is reasonably better than the 6.5 globally average. Australia is one of the wealthiest Asia Pacific nations and has enjoyed over 20 years of economic growth. Australia has a high average life expectancy of 85 years, much of which can be attributed to an excellent health care system. Do you want to know if the Philippines is also an industrialized country? Okay, the economy of the Philippines is the world's 37th largest economy and the GDP over 330.91 billion by the World Bank 2018. It is the 60th largest economy in Asia and the 50th largest economy in the ASEAN. The Philippines is one of the emerging markets and the sixth richest Southeast Asia by GDP per capita. The Philippines is primarily considered a newly industrialized country, which has an economy transition from one based on agriculture to one based more on services and manufacturing as of 2019. GDP by the purchasing power parity was estimated to be at 1,025.758 billion. Those are the example of economic development and industrialized states or country. The role of industrialization in our economy development. It increased the supply of goods for internal and external markets and government receivers, revenue in the form of custom and excise duties, sales and income taxes from the industrialists due to which government revenue increased. A developed country is a highly income country. More economically developed country is a sovereign state that has a high quality of life, developed economy, and advanced technological infrastructure relative to other less industrialized nations. Thank you and good morning.